Forest podcast is supported by viewers, listeners, and businesses just like you. Michelle Parno has lived and worked in Lake Forest for over 2 decades. Michelle's lending experience, when combined with her real estate expertise, makes her an invaluable asset to her clients as they navigate their home buying or selling process. Call Michelle now at 847-528-8721, 847-528-8721. For the best cannabis in the world, look no further than Iliad Epic Grow. Owned by Lake Bluff's own Rich Ruzich, they are a cannabis cultivation center focusing on hard-to-find small batch products that will delight both the occasional user and ganjier. When visiting Michigan, ask for it by name. Epic Products, exceptional process. For more information, email info@iliadgrow.com. Laracy & Company CPAs, founded in 2010 by Lake Forest's own Brian Laracy, specializes in tax preparation and bookkeeping services. Earning the People Love Us on Yelp award, their process is straightforward. Just upload, review, and file. For a free quote, visit laracycpa.com now. That's LARISEYCPA.com. I'm excited to share with you something special from our Lake Forest community, the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa, located at 775 North Bank Lane in Lake Forest near Wisconsin Avenue. This just isn't any spa. They offer an amazing blend of traditional spa services plus the added benefit of medical procedures and treatments. In a relaxing and luxurious spa environment, you can enjoy a range of cosmetic and aesthetic treatments. These are all performed under the supervision of top medical professionals. The Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa provides skin care, facial rejuvenation, body contouring, laser hair removal, Botox, dermal fillers, chemical peels, and much more. What's great is that each treatment is tailored not just to enhance your appearance, but also to address specific skin concerns and to promote overall well-being. So if you're looking to pamper yourself and take your beauty routine to the next level, give the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa a call at 224-768-8028 or visit them at their location on North Bank Lane. It's an experience your skin will thank you for. We'd also like to say we're thankful for our Patreon supporters, Otto, John C., Helen, Herrick, and J.M.
Hey, guys.
Hey, see if...
Hi, Mary.
Mary, can you hear me, or am I muted to you, too?
I can hear everybody, but...
I can hear you.
I can hear nobody.
Oh.
Joe's got issues, Mary. How you doing?
I'm good. You look like you're in a fun place.
Well, I'm in God's country, Lake of the Ozarks.
How come you guys are having a conversation and I can't hear any of it, and I'm not muted?
Chat, Joe.
Why don't you plug in something?
I have my speakers on.
Mm-hmm.
Are your hearing aids conflicting with your laptop?
All right, let me log out and log back in. I don't know what else
Mary,
to do here.
Mary, you're looking sharp. Holy crap.
I had court this morning, which is pretty much every morning, Monday through Friday. So,
I mean,
you just normally used to see me in like a purple Mary Cole t-shirts.
Working the beer tent, doing a great job, by the way.
That was fun. That was probably one of the funner things we've done this past year, or year and a half, or however long it's been. Pete, I don't even know how many months it's been.
Well,
year and 4.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
okay. I see what happened.
Yeah.
Hey there.
Hey, Joe. Did you take out your hearing aids? You good?
Yeah, it's
Joe, who do we got? This sharp-dressed young lady here.
we've got Mary Cole, who's running for Lake County State's Attorney.
Hey guys, good to be back.
Yeah.
Lovely Lake Forest podcast.
Yeah. So, and Mary's also a Lake Bluff trustee.
Yes, I am.
So, but she did not vote to ban gas-powered leaf blowers, despite what
I was not even there when the vote happened, so no.
despite what some deranged individual says online. But so Mary, a lot has happened since you've been on the show last. The good part is your campaign has grown and grown and grown. Unfortunately, the bad part is some really bad things have happened here in Lake County under your opponent's watch as state's attorney, Eric Rinehard. So let's start with what just happened a couple weeks ago, because it made Chicago news, which doesn't always happen here in Lake County. Unfortunately, when it does, it's usually something very bad. A young lady, I think she was 15 years old, in Round Lake Beach, was in her house about to have dinner with her mother, I believe, and they lived across the street from a park or something, and there was a gang fight or something outside, and a stray bullet came in and killed this poor girl.
Yeah, Valeria Rodriguez. Yeah. So actually, I was with the family at the park that you just talked about last Sunday. So they live right across the street from a very cute, quaint park. This is it's a residential neighborhood. You wouldn't really, drive through there and think ever, oh, I have to worry about stray bullets or anything like that. It's, very family oriented neighborhood. She was supposed to start her sophomore year, and she was sitting down to eat dinner, and a stray bullet went through her torso, and she was pronounced dead by the time she got to the hospital. So it's about much of a tragedy as you can imagine.
But there's more to what happened, and that is that the guy who pulled the trigger really should have been in jail.
Yeah, probably. The 19-year-old young man who was responsible, or at least is being charged with being responsible for the stray bullet, was actually currently serving a sentence, which I think a lot of people argue should have involved him being incarcerated, because his offense that he was serving a sentence for involved him pulling a gun on a mother with her kids present, I think at a gas station. He was currently on EHM, like electrical monitoring, right? So he shouldn't have been able to leave the home. But the problem with EHM is if you cut your anklet off, or you can always just leave, right?
You have Kim Fox in Cook County and Eric Rinehard in Lake County, who, but if this had happened in any other place besides that, he probably would have been in jail, and this young lady would still be alive.
Yeah, that's the prevailing theory. So don't get me wrong, the Safety Act obviously has changed a great deal with regard to the Illinois criminal justice system. But that's not an excuse for not doing your job, because at the end of the day, that office has an amazing amount of discretion, right? So when it comes to deciding what the appropriate sentence is, negotiating, to determining if there's mitigating factors that would have justified him being, released on EHM, what those factors are, right? Now the judge normally has to agree to whatever terms are set forth by the prosecutors and the defense attorneys. But for the most part in Illinois, when there's a fully negotiated plea agreement, it stands. Like I work in Wisconsin too. It's a bit different there. The judges are more involved in the process, but in Illinois, it's really the prosecutor and the defense attorney, right? Unless there's a trial or something like that, or a sentencing hearing. So I think that there's a really good argument that this should have never happened, because he should have been in custody for his prior gun offense where he put a gun to a woman's head. So
there is a phrase, I think it was President Obama who used it back in the day, elections have consequences. And I think, unfortunately, the election of Eric Rinehard has had some very negative consequences, like this young lady getting killed.
Joe, I think there's a better phrase. A vote is a terrible thing to waste, right? Mary,
I like both of your phrases. Bottom line is, in this particular, so with the state's attorney's office or district attorney's offices, once someone's there, once they're elected in, you've got 4 years with that person. They're not accountable to mayors, to police, to like the governor, right? They're there, and they have an amazing amount of discretion. They're not, it's not one person whose vote is diluted, like, if you're a representative or something like that, that the actual state's attorney has an immense amount of power. The problem is, right, that if that person, that state's attorney or district attorney, doesn't do their job, you are stuck with them for 4 years. So when you're a victim of a crime, right, and you're hoping you don't get to choose your prosecutor. When you're a victim in a case, and I've been a victim in a case, you just have to hope that whoever, it's on election day. And it is so important in this race to vote, because at the end of the day, when the state's attorney doesn't do their job, it's not just like, oh, that's sad, it's a mismanagement of the office. People get hurt. People get killed. It is a very important office. So please vote, people. Please vote.
Yeah, and look, everyone's focused on the big shiny ball called the presidential election, right? Yeah. And I don't know a single person who hasn't made up their mind of who they're voting for in the presidential election. But and no matter who wins, it is all likelihood that we know Illinois is not a swing state. And we know the past results in Lake County. But that said, you know, in 2020, Joe Biden won Lake County by 20 points. Eric Rinehard only won Lake County by 4 points. So you already had a 16-point spread there going into this. So a lot of people, even before they knew anything about Eric Rinehard, and he hadn't had this horrible record yet that he now has, they already split their tickets and voted against Eric Rinehard. And, you know, I think I would fair to say your job and your campaign's job to educate everybody in Lake County, like, hey, whoever you're voting for president, great. But here in Lake County, we have a very tight race for state's attorney with lives literally on the line, like that young lady in Round Lake Beach.
You Republicans, you keep going through the same headline over and over. And, you know, I can pick out, you know, 70 people that died in Chicago, and, you know, all lives matter. Okay. But Mary, help me understand. You pull a rabbit out of a hat. Obviously, you know where I stand. I hope you win, but we're in Illinois. And Joe, you're bringing up the numbers. I get it. I'm not as far right as Joe is, but I'm right enough.
I don't know about that.
Well, I am wearing a flag. I am Lake of the Ozarks, and there's 4 Trump flags behind me.
I got a flag here too.
It's a lot of red, white, blue.
Well, yours is on your lapel. But Mary, help me understand. So you pull a rabbit out of a hat, and Eric Rinehard is out, and you go in there. You can't change the Safety Act, can you? All you can do is control who gets in front of a judge to make the call. Is that, or simplify it for me?
No, I think this is a good question. I think you tried to ask before, and I kind of circled somewhere else. There is an immense amount that can change irrespective of the Safety Act. Okay. One, I guess if you're going to start from the outside looking in with regard to the Safety Act, petitions to detain. So, Safety Act, there's the crimes that no matter what, you're staying in custody, and then you skip down to the bottom, the crimes that no matter what, you're never going to be held on pretrial release. Really, our issue is with the crimes in between, which is a great deal, a large majority of crimes, right? And those cases, right, are only subject to detention if the state's attorney files a petition to bring it in front of the judge, right? Some counties are taking the position that they're going to file on everything that's appropriate, right? All the cases that they're eligible to file for, and they put it in front of the judge, and the judge can decide. Right. So it's a little bit closer to what it used to be like, where the judge has a greater role, more appropriate role in determining who stays in or out. They apply the factors that are dictated by the Safety Act, and they decide detention or no. The problem is our state's attorney's office is not even initiating that process in a lot of cases. Right. So they're not even asking. So that's definitely something that can change. The second part is, I mean, people. It's not like the sexiest argument, but the reality is if you have a well-staffed office with people who care about their job, who are trained to do it, take pride in what they do, you're going to get better results. And this is an office that's gone through over 105 people in 3.5 years. So, I mean, there's a lot to be done that can improve the quality. Is
that normal churn?
No.
What
it's over 60%. There's only like 153 or 155 positions. When I first started there, you know how hard it was to get a job? Reggie Matthews, who was a supervisor at the time, he had just become a judge. That's the only reason my spot opened up, right? So there was almost a problem with too little turnover. So that's not normal.
I mean, his office has had more turnover than the Bears. I mean, it's just,
yeah. And most of those are people he's hired, right? So that, I mean, there's a lot we can do, Pete. There's a lot to do.
You know what? My feeling is,
and they've had more turnover than the Bears, and they're playing like the White Sox. I mean,
I don't know anything about the Bears or the White Sox.
Look, what do you call 100 lawyers at the bottom of the ocean? A good start. So,
stop. But Mary, here's is something that was just in. I urge everyone to read online all the time Lake McHenry County Scanner, because there's not a lot of good sources for local information. Everything is either national or Chicago. So Lake McHenry Scanner dives into stuff that happens right in our own community. There was I guess a charge, or help me out here. There was a fatal DUI like over a year ago. And the judge reprimanded the state's attorney, saying, what the hell took you guys so long to bring up these charges? Can you give us a little more detail on that?
So mind you, I'm not involved in this case, so your level of knowledge about what's transpired is pretty much mine. Yeah. Hi, Pete. So a young lady who was driving 3 times over the legal limit struck and killed a father of 2 over a year ago, and she was just in front of the judge like this past week for detention. And the judge was upset because clearly, so the thing with DUIs, right? You can't, it's not a target. It's not like an individual. The people at risk of being injured is everybody, right? Like when you get on the road and you choose to drink and drive, you put everybody at risk, right? And that's a risk that the person driving, the potential victims, they have no way to control whether or not they're victims of that crime, right? There's no way they can mitigate that danger. So generally speaking, whenever there's a DUI death, it's taken incredibly seriously. And we make sure that we don't put people back out on the road in the streets who've demonstrated ability to be that dangerous. They waited a year and I think 2 months to even file. So the judge is stuck with a situation where he has to apply the factors of the Safety Act, right? And even if he does or doesn't like the Safety Act, he's going to do his job. So based on the factors set forth, all this time had gone by, right? So now she's demonstrated that I don't think she's gotten in any trouble since, right? And she, I think, went to treatment. So based on the factors applied, he couldn't detain her, right? But more importantly, this person is out just around, right? Who knows? She could have been driving. We don't know, right? While this family just lost their father. And this isn't like the only case where that's happened. There's several instances in this past year where we've had to hear from families that say, listen, my loved one was killed and I've literally seen this individual driving around. I'm terrified. My kids are terrified. And that's unfair.
Mary, enough of the lawyer jokes, I promise.
Yes.
What I'm trying to do is to get ordinary people to kind of figure out, you got to pick you and you got to pick Reinhardt. Reinhardt's been offered many a time to come on the show, and
oh, he has.
Oh yeah, he
you invited him? We should hang out together.
Well, the difference between all I can do is I've asked him.
We'll host the debate.
all I can do is go by what I hear and see, right? Just like we're at the bar talking, and what I hear is you got a guilty white guy that's in charge of putting people in front of the judges. I mean, in layman's terms, is that what he is? And if he is, why is he the guilty white guy? Like, why does he feel that way that we can't even call them victims anymore? What do you call them?
I think I understand what you're saying. So and I think what I'm about to explain kind of represents our culture right now to some extent. So it's normally like, right, someone commits a crime and there's a victim. A defense attorney's approach, right? And he is a career defense attorney. I'm a defense attorney now. Defense attorneys are very important in the criminal justice system. But he's taken the approach that the accused are victims of the system, right? But he's in charge of the system now. So he's still protecting the accused as the system, when the problem is the system has a big duty to protect the public and be a voice for victims. So the problem is this relationship has really altered his ability to be a voice for victims and to protect the public. And he's just chosen to dig into his
I think that's the bigger message. I think my opinion to you guys is not to insult. It's my opinion. I think, again, you can pick out the headline, somebody got shot, bullet through the wall. There's tragedies all over the world. But at the end of the day, you have somebody that, do you call it an agenda where it's like, well, I feel bad for them. I want to give them a second, third chance or whatever. And that's who's, am I looking at it the wrong way?
No, I don't think that's the wrong way. I think that there is a political agenda, right? And I think that that agenda is problematic. That's why, I mean, politics don't belong in the office because it skews up, the office's ability to do its job, which is to enforce the laws fairly and justly, right? That should be, there shouldn't be an agenda. There's laws that need to be enforced and there's discretion, right?
And
And
it's not a partisan
Let me
issue.
get a couple more and I'll let you carry it out. Because
it's okay.
I'm on a hot roll here.
Let's do it.
So Mary, you had a bunch of people leaving Reinhardt, okay? Because he never prosecuted anything. I've heard. So he's kind of learning on the job. I don't want to say he's an idiot, but he hasn't had the feedback of experience to do a good job. And lawyers like you, because I think you skedaddle too. You're like, who's this guy? I'm out. It's something.
I tried to stay.
Yeah.
I tried.
Yeah, right. Go through like some of the stuff he was doing because I can't ask him. I have to go through you.
Understood. So, as you mentioned, he had never been a prosecutor before, right? 18-year defense attorney, never even prosecuted a speeding ticket. So then, the blue wave or whatever happens in 2020. 2020 was just a weird year. He becomes the head state's attorney, right? He's now in charge of the office. He's been railing against his entire legal career. Fine. He gets there. This would be an opportunity to say, okay, you know what? Now I'm here. I have never done this job, but I'm surrounded by people who have. So now is the time to be like, okay, this is my new job. Let's learn. Let's rely on people who have administrative knowledge who can teach me. But he didn't. He fired them all. He fired all the supervisors who knew how to do anything. And then he hired more people like him, people who had never prosecuted ever before, and he made them supervisors. In fact, a lot of them were public defenders. I've been a public defender. That's not a dig. It's just not the right move in this situation, right? And so he dug into his ignorance, in my opinion, right? And I attribute that to his political leanings, or not his political leanings, but his politician-like approach to things, right? There's plenty of Democratic state's attorneys who do fantastic jobs, so it's not about being a Democrat or Republican, but he chose to dig into that kind of mindset. And so when he hired these people, they also mirrored a lot of his political beliefs. And for instance, I think what you mentioned earlier, the thing that was my final line in the sand, because there was a lot that happened while I was there that, gave me a stomach ache for several months. One of his new supervisors instructed the young, brand new misdemeanor assistants who were just learning how to be attorneys and handle power and this, that, the other. She instructed them that they weren't allowed to use the word victim. Because according to her, there's no such thing as victims. There's alleged victims and there's complaining witnesses, which might sound like semantics to some people, but one of our most important honorable jobs as prosecutors is to be a voice for victims and to defend the Victim Bill of Rights because they have no one else. They don't get to hire an attorney the way to, like, if you're accused of a crime, you can fire your defense attorney if you don't like him. You don't get to do that as a victim. So
in Reinhardt speak, that young girl in Round Lake Beach that was killed in her living room is not a victim.
Well, so here's where I'll give him a little grace. He hired her and he kept her on for several years. The supervisor who made those statements. I've never heard those words out of his mouth, but that was a person he brought in and chose to keep for a long time. So I think he's comfortable using the word victim. But the bottom line is he helped grow an office where that was the culture. And now we're shocked, right? That victims aren't a priority.
And back to, it's not a partisan thing. This isn't really.
It's not. It's really not.
There's certain offices I think I wish they didn't elect by party, right? I think state's attorney is one of them. Because there are Democratic state's attorneys in this state who are very good prosecutors. Jim Glasgow in Will County is a Democrat, and I'm quite certain Eileen O'Neill Burke, who defeated Kim Foxx's hand-picked successor in the Democratic primary in Cook County, will be a good state's attorney. I mean, back in the day, Rich Daley, before he was mayor, say whatever you want about his time as mayor of Chicago, but he was the Cook County state's attorney and the state's attorney, that he was tough on crime. So, and and we've talked about this many times on this show. We talk to a lot. Police can't go on the record; they have to, do their job and everything. But we talk to a lot of police officers here in Lake Forest and around Lake County, off the record, and there's just very little respect that they have for Eric Rinehard or Kim Foxx. And so, and last I checked, Eric Reinhardt's bragging on his website that he was endorsed by Kim Foxx. So, I mean, wow. But, so our police taking it here to Lake Forest, thank God there has not been a murder like there was of this young lady in Round Lake Beach, so there very could have easily been one. But we've had a number of other crimes. We had a fatal hit and run couple of years back that I think we talked about with you on the first time you were here last year. But then we've had a whole bunch of lootings. I don't want to say lootings, but like
Retail thefts, burglaries, yeah.
of stores like Lululemon.
They got Lulu looted.
So it's easy to laugh about it. And you're like, oh, Lululemon's a big company and they got a lot of money. But in the getaway,
it's funny. It's Lululemon. They deserve it.
But when in the getaway, when they were speeding away, they almost ran over like 2 or 3 people by Market Square. This could have ended very badly, and sometimes it does. So this is, and I'm told by someone very close to the situation that when the police were interrogating them, they basically said, yeah, we keep coming back because we know nothing's going to happen to us.
The county is an easy mark. So
Yeah.
you gotta remember, when people think of crime and criminals, there's plenty of people who commit a crime on the weekend, but they're not criminals. Maybe they're getting a divorce, had a bad weekend, got into a bar fight, whatever, right? But there is definitely a class of criminals who make a business out of this. And right, so like any business owner, you do a cost risk analysis, right? You want the highest gain for the least amount of risk. What is that? Lake County, right? We have a lot of money in parts of Lake County, and we have a state's attorney who's notoriously openly and taken pride in not prosecuting people. So why wouldn't you come here?
Yeah, and with Eileen O'Neill Burke becoming replacing Kim Foxx as the state's attorney in Cook County.
I mean, assuming she wins the general.
Yeah, all due respect to her Republican opponent.
Bob Fioretti,
Bob Fioretti. He's a good man. So either one of them, I think, would be tougher.
Either way, it's an improvement. I
Kim
guarantee
Foxx.
it.
So
Guarantee
Cook County, so all those criminals that were committing crimes in Cook County, if Reinhardt wins, and there's now a tough state's attorney in Cook County, guess where they're going to go? Lake County. So we're going to even report crime. We're going to have a big bullseye here in Lake Forest and other communities in Lake County. So this is serious stuff, and this is, I think, the most important election on the ballot. With all due respect to all the other great candidates that are running for things, but and I've said this. We've had some great guests running for state legislature and county board, and they're all terrific people, and hope they win. But if they do win, they're just one more vote on a legislative body. You win, that office changes right away. You get sworn in, and the way we prosecute
criminals. How many of those people would come back, Mary? Of those that got fired, how many would come back?
I'm not going to put a number on it, but I've talked to several. I mean, because it depends. Like, some people have moved on to private practice. Some people are still doing what they're doing, but like in another county, right? So all I can say is I've talked to people who I respect, who I consider to be kind of pillars in the legal system. And to be frank,
that means you have more help, right? Versus you have these disciples of the bias that's going on. Even if it's several that come back to help you, correct things. Because these people that he hired, maybe they're trainable. Who knows? But
they are trainable. Oh my goodness! Let me say this. I love the people who work there. Okay, I adore the people who work there, and there's plenty of people there who want to do good, but they're not really put in the position to do as well as they would like to. There's definitely some people there who I disagree with, maybe them being in the office, but for the most part, they're good people who signed up because they wanted to do a good job, right? But one person can't compete with an entire culture, right? Of what it is right now, right? So they're always going to be limited to what that office is providing them. And to be frank, my job, I'm not the important one. My job is to make sure that those people are in the best position possible to serve the public. They are what matters, right? I am just going to provide an opportunity for them to do what they already want to do.
Joe, I got to get back on the road, finish up with some of these questions. Mary's got to press her suit again.
She looks terrific. Wait, and you look terrific. And Pete, you look terrific in a Pete way. So Mary, how show us some of the ways people can help your campaign, like put a yard sign up in their yard or give you money?
Yes. So, I will say we've been very fortunate. The citizens of Lake County have really reached out and they want to help, and I love it. So I always say there's 3 different ways to generally help. Donating money, which there's donating money, right? Because campaigns with even the best of intentions are not run just on goodwill. It costs money to make these signs, right? You can do advocacy, right? Which is whatever, set up a meet and greet, bring your neighbors in, people who you think, would care if they just knew a little bit more, right? I go to people's houses all the time for that. It doesn't have to be giant. It's just, right? It's word of mouth. And then there's volunteers. And so people walking in parades, people agreeing that they'll be the ones to help put out signs when people want them, right? There's so many different ways to help. So if anybody is thinking, oh, I want to help, I don't know how, very simple. Go to my website, maryforlakecounty.com, and there's a little button that says want to help, and you can just sign up, and then we reach out to you and you get to help.
Hey, will you debate Eric Rinehard?
Yes, as long as, if he agrees to. I've been waiting 3.5 years.
Has there been any contact about that or any development on
We
that?
just started to get some emails recently about debates, so I do think I think it'll happen. I'm pretty sure it'll happen. I can't see it not happening. I can't give you specifics because I don't think they've been established just yet, but I anticipate there being debates.
We'll host one here on the Lake Forest podcast.
Yeah, no problem.
I mean, we've had Brad Schneider and Jim Karras on, and together briefly at the parade last week. But by
the way, there's a parade on. I don't know when this is released, but there's a parade in Grays Lake on Saturday. So if it's not already Saturday when you hear this, then come out.
All right, I got to get on the road back to Lake Forest, lovely Lake Forest. I spent 2 or 3 days here in God's country, Lake of the Ozarks, and my Uncle Mike, and it is a different vibe down here. It's like Florida, but it's not as cliquey. It's a bunch of good people. Lawbreakers, they get put in jail. Everybody carries a piece. It's beautiful. People aren't worried about what they got to say.
And he says he's not as Republican as you, just as for Mike.
I'm a plain speaking Republican.
Yeah.
Regular Joe can understand what
I'm just not that political, to be frank. But
okay, good.
I like you guys either way.
And you're running for what should be a non-political office.
Yeah, I'm just not that political. Yeah. So,
Very
I'm a prosecutor at heart, but
seriously, you're getting ready for November. You're looking good. You're looking real good. Joe,
thanks, Pete. I appreciate it.
Joe, you're looking okay. See you guys later.
The Lake Forest Podcast is supported by viewers, listeners, and businesses just like you. Michelle Parnell has lived and worked in Lake Forest for over 2 decades. Michelle's lending experience, when combined with her real estate expertise, makes her an invaluable asset to her clients as they navigate their home buying or selling process. Call Michelle now at 847-528-8721, 847-528-8721. For the best cannabis in the world, look no further than Iliad Epic Grow. Owned by Lake Bluff's own Rich Ruzich, they are a cannabis cultivation center focusing on hard-to-find small batch products that will delight both the occasional user and ganjier. When visiting Michigan, ask for it by name. Epic Products, exceptional process. For more information, email info@iliadgrow.com. Laracy & Company CPAs, founded in 2010 by Lake Forest's own Brian Laracy, specializes in tax preparation and bookkeeping services. Earning the People Love Us on Yelp award, their process is straightforward. Just upload, review, and file. For a free quote, visit laracycpa.com now. That's LARISEYCPA.com. I'm excited to share with you something special from our Lake Forest community, the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa, located at 775 North Bank Lane in Lake Forest near Wisconsin Avenue. This just isn't any spa. They offer an amazing blend of traditional spa services plus the added benefit of medical procedures and treatments. In a relaxing and luxurious spa environment, you can enjoy a range of cosmetic and aesthetic treatments. These are all performed under the supervision of top medical professionals. The Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa provides skin care, facial rejuvenation, body contouring, laser hair removal, Botox, dermal fillers, chemical peels, and much more. What's great is that each treatment is tailored not just to enhance your appearance, but also to address specific skin concerns and to promote overall well-being. So if you're looking to pamper yourself and take your beauty routine to the next level, give the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa a call at 224-768-8028 or visit them at their location on North Bank Lane. It's an experience your skin will thank you for. We'd also like to say we're thankful for our Patreon supporters, Otto, John C., Helen, Herrick, and J.M.